passing on to my children a building full of junk. And since I've become mindful of that, I have made effort to get rid of said junk. And I know, Lord willing, that's a long ways off. But you know, the stuff that we can pile, and I like to collect stuff. As you all know, I collect Hot Wheels and things of that nature. I realize that one of these days, that stuff's going to rot away. It's going to become rusted. Moth's going to get it if you collect clothing and shoes. But God's inheritance for us lasts forever. And the reason that it lasts forever is because He takes joy in what He created. And all He asks of us is to recognize that He created it and that we're a part of it. And because of that, He wants us to recognize that it was only Him that was able to do it. That's His glory. His glory is He does things that we cannot do, but then He shares them with us when we ought not even have a piece of it because of our human nature. But He cares so much for us, loved us so much that He said, I'm going to make a way for things to be right again, even though it was of no fault of His own. And that's the glory of God that we look through. But the world throws out words like destiny. When they think about this idea, they say, well, what's your destiny? But you see, destiny is a different word for purpose. And as Christians, that's what we should focus on. Paul says that it's according to the counsel of His will. And this is where our purpose comes in, that nothing that we encounter, nothing that we will face, will fall outside of the sovereignty of His hand. Now, let me say this very clearly. God doesn't orchestrate evil. Evil exists because people and things are against God. But God responds to that. And so He has a way to handle those situations. And so when things feel chaotic and out of control, and folks, I have learned the older that you get, that seems to, sometimes things are very peaceful and then they're not. And when that happens, I want you to be reminded that God has a plan. And that plan, even though chaos is a part of that on the backside again of that tapestry, He is creating something beautiful, and you are a part of that. Romans 8:28 says, and we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, and for those who are called according to His purpose. Paul tells us plainly what this is. He says, so that we who were the first to hope in Christ might be to the praise of His glory. You see, that's the goal of this whole thing. The goal here is not our comfort, and that's uncomfortable. Kind of ironic, right? God didn't save us to be comfortable. He saved us to demonstrate His glory here on earth. If you all have ever heard of the Westminster Catechism, it says this: man's chief end is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. That's our whole purpose. That is why we are saved, is to be redeemed to God as a part of His perfect creation for His glory. You and I are redeemed to display the awesomeness of God's glory and what He can do. Think about, not a one of us could go outside and look at the grass and say, I want a tree to be there, and it's there. Sure, you can plant a seed, but there's no guarantee the seed will grow. You might even plant a tree and it grow crooked. You have no control over any of those things. But in 7 days, God spoke and created everything into existence. And He simply wants people to recognize that it was He who did it. And that because of that, we owe Him something. And that is to love Him. God never had to bring anybody into this world. He chose to. And through that choice, He wants us to want to have a relationship with Him. And so the way that we live our lives, through every act of obedience, every word of witness, and every quiet moment that we trust God, this praises His glory. So as a musician, or as our singer comes this morning, I'm excited about this. Let's return back to our opening picture for a moment. The idea of this tapestry On this side of eternity, we only see the back of this tapestry. We see the knots. We see all those threads, all the confusion that sometimes, and frankly, sometimes life just doesn't make sense to us. But one day, folks, in the fullness of time, according to His will and according to His glory, we will see the fronts of this grand tapestry that God's created. We will see the